And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to present to you best-selling author David Bell, here to tell us about his brand new red-hot book, Kill All Your Darlings. David, welcome to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. And Kill All Your Darlings is a suspense novel. It is about a college professor named Connor Nye who teaches creative writing. And he has stolen, I was going to say borrowed, but he has stolen a manuscript written by one of his students because he thinks his student has disappeared and died and fallen off the face of the earth, only to find out that the student is still alive and the manuscript that he took from her implicates him in an unsolved murder. And things get worse from there.
As though they could get worse from there. I am sweating at the idea of stealing another author's work. Oh my God, we got to get into every dirty detail of that, David. But first, I just want to welcome everyone who is watching with us on Facebook, on YouTube, and Mystery and Thriller Mavens, Murder by the Book, my channels, your channels. Welcome, everybody. If you've been here before, you know how this works. And if you're new, oh my goodness, we're so happy to have you. Welcome. Here's how it works. Every Monday for hashtag Mystery Mondays, because we all know Mondays can be murder, I give you two hand-picked featured authors, and you get to ask them anything. So ask best-selling author David Bell about his writing process, about killing his darlings, about anything that you're wondering. David's also a professor at Bowling Green University, so ask him all your pressing writing questions. Mystery and Thriller Mavens is like Vegas, but for murder mysteries. So whatever happens here stays here. Get your questions going in the comments, and I'll get them right over to David. I want to welcome Dana, welcome Bonnie, welcome Alan, welcome Anita, welcome Susanna, welcome Roger, welcome Julie, welcome Phyllis, Christina, welcome. Get your questions.
Those are all my siblings. Isn't it great that they showed up? That's great.
David comes from the Duggar family, 19 kids and counting. He's the 19th.
Yes.
David, I have so many questions for you. So your book is a most anticipated feature. Welcome, Bill. Great to have you. Most anticipated book on many featured lists this summer. Congratulations. Huge accomplishment there. So clearly everybody is excited about this. Thanks for the hearts up on Facebook, you guys. So people are excited about this book. SheReads, Motherly, Palm Beach Daily, Frolic, Crime Reads, and more. Welcome, Bill. Welcome, Annette. So tell us about, I'm going to share some of the praise that this book has gotten, but I think the key to writing a great book is the thing that zhuzh factor, that sizzle, that thing that keeps us up till 3 a.m. begging, David, just one more chapter. I'm so tired, but I've got to know. How do you do that? How do you pull that off? What's the secret?
Well, I think that we tend to think of mysteries and thrillers, and we tend to think of the plot first. We think of like, oh, is it a twisty plot? Is it a crazy plot? Whatever. But really, I think what really makes a book stick with people are the characters. So I think if people have characters who they care about, even the villains, even the people who end up being the bad people and doing the bad things, I think if people have some fascination with them or interest in them, then the readers are going to be fascinated and interested in the story. So I really think, yeah, of course you have to have a crazy plot, but people really care when they care about the characters and understand the characters and get invested in the characters. So that would be my thing to say, is that make people care about the characters, or at least be fascinated by the characters. And then you can go on with all the crazy plot stuff.
All the craziest plot stuff. I love it. So this is bringing the crazy extra hard. So Professor Connor, the human dad of Grendel the dog, has stolen, as you said, not just borrowed, outright stolen this book idea from his student. Now, I'm not giving any spoilers because this is all right here on the back of the book. And then it turns out this is a big mistake for many reasons, because that student who has gone missing, is why Connor thought it was safe to lift this idea from her. She comes back. And she appears. She's petting his dog in a semi-terrifying way. David, how did you get this mind-bending, crazy idea? Welcome, Tessa. Welcome, Dave. Welcome, Oline. Welcome, Marilyn. Great to have y'all. David, how'd you get this idea?
Well, I mean, so by day, I'm a creative writing professor. So I've been thinking I've never written a book set in academia, set on a campus. And I've always wanted to. So I've thought about different ideas that I could write that were set on a campus and the interaction between professors and students. And in this case, what it's like when a professor encounters a student who is really talented and really accomplished at a very young age. So I wanted to do that for a long time. I just hadn't quite gotten the idea off the ground until this one. So a lot of it comes directly from my experience as a professor, not the stealing of ideas from students. I've never done that. Even the talented students, I've never stolen ideas from. But that whole dynamic that exists between professors and students when people are writing and trying to be creative and all that, it really just sprang from all of that stuff.
I love it. And thank you for the full disclosure that this is not autobiographical. Good to know you're not a thief, Professor.
That's not.
Professor Bell. Sharon is saying, hi from Minnesota. I just got this book, but haven't had the chance to read it yet. Sharon, you're in for a treat. Definitely circle back and let us know what you think. And I just want to remind everyone that I have a free Facebook group called Mystery and Thriller Mavens to continue the conversation. So that's where we continue the conversation about all the books. So make sure you join. I'll put it in the comments and let us know what you think about this book. Anita is saying the book sounds fascinating. I will order it as soon as the interview is over. Anita, thank you. I think you'll love it.
Anita is my favorite reader of the moment. Yes, because she's going to order the book. Yes.
Yay, Anita! I'm going to plunk the order link in the comments for you, so you don't even have to look it up. Let us know what you think, Anita. Join the Facebook group. Let us know. I'll pop that in there as well. Welcome, Stephanie. Welcome, Valerie. Welcome, Mike. Great to have you all. David, let's pop over to the Palm Beach Daily News. They said this book with hints of Patricia Highsmith's The Talented Mr. Ripley is a riveting thriller. Congratulations on that. Were you channeling Ripley or tell us about that?
Gosh, I wasn't consciously thinking of that. I mean, I've read Patricia Highsmith, and I think she's one of the best, right? And I've taught that book, The Talented Mr. Ripley, many thousands of years ago. But I guess it's just the idea of, if I can remember The Talented Mr. Ripley well enough, of people wanting to be someone else and taking identity from someone else. And so there's a little of that in this book, is that Connor is like you said, it's the worst thing that a writer can do to another writer. And it's the worst thing that a writing professor can do to one of their students, is to steal their work. So that whole idea of what is it like when you, and also Connor, the professor, comes into contact with this student, Madeline, who is so incredibly talented. And what's it like when you encounter someone who seems to have stuff that you want, who seems to have a better ability to navigate the world than you have? And that's kind of what Connor is facing, that idea of stealing not just the manuscript, but also the essence and the identity of this person. Because that's what happens when you steal someone's writing, is you're stealing something essential about them. So maybe that's where the Highsmith thing comes in. I'm not sure.
Well, I loved it because she reappears, the owner of this idea. She reappears on his pub day, the most special day that an author has, when you're just like, yay, it's my book birthday. Where's my cake?
Worst publication day ever. Let me point that out. Yes, worst one ever.
Yeah, exactly. Connor's just at the library. He's doing a reading. He's feeling himself. He's signing the books, his name on her idea. And then he comes home and she's sitting in his chair petting his dog. She's like, hey, Connor, it's me. We've got to talk. So, and that's only the beginning of Connor coming to rue the day he ever took this idea. I want to say that Liv Constantine raved that this book grabs you by the throat and never lets go. Kill All Your Darlings will keep you reading late into the night. Again, that it factor of what I was talking about, begging just one more chapter with a twist that you will never see coming. Hey, Keith. Hey, Susan. Great to have you. David, without giving anything away, because we don't want to talk about the twist, but we want to talk about the twist without revealing the twist. Yeah. Did you always know that twist was coming, or did it come to you in a flash of genius as you went?
I don't think I knew the exact ending. I make a really detailed outline, and so I think I know what the ending is going to be, but it seems like inevitably as I go along and I'm writing, I realize that the ending that I thought was really good is not very good, and I have to come up with another ending as I go along, and I just hope that by the time I get to page 350 or whatever, something else has come to mind. So no, I don't think I really knew, and I hope that when I don't really know what the ending is, or when a new ending pops into my head as I'm going along, that it will surprise the reader as much as it surprises me. So I hope that's the case. But yeah, so usually I think I know, but I don't really know.
That is so interesting, because you say an outliner, maybe because you're a professor. I mean, we're wondering, but then you didn't think it was a good idea. So you went with the story where it led you. So you're a plantser, a plotter and a pantser. Is that fair to say?
Well, I have the outline, but I allow myself the opportunity to go off, to get off the interstate and to look at the weird roadside attractions that come up. So really the outline is there as a security blanket. It's a comfort, like having a roadmap back. Anybody under the age of 40, like there used to be these paper things that you looked at in the car that told you how to get places. So it's kind of like that. It's like the roadmap. But, you can get off and look at the weird roadside attraction or take a detour if you want. So that's kind of the way I approach it.
I love this idea of following the map. I am over 40, so I remember the good old-fashioned paper maps, which then became MapQuest. Who else remembers maps? Tell us in the comments. But that you will pull over for the weird roadside attraction, the 10,000 tire or right. Farm or whatever. I love that analogy. Sharon is saying she just used a map in Michigan. Sharon, good old fashioned map using gal after my heart. I love that.
Well, see, she was in the Midwest, so she was being practical. She was in Michigan, so she had to be practical and use a map. Yeah.
Exactly. You got to have one in the console. Dana's saying she sometimes misses the paper maps. You and me, Dana, totally.
Yeah, I don't miss folding them. That's I failed that part of the folding the map. But yeah,
and it was always so impossible to refold it as the folds, originally were. So then we get all flimsy and used, but soft, and that was your favorite map.
Right, yeah.
Now we're just waxing poetic about maps. Crime Reads gave you another rave. Also a Patricia Highsmith comparison saying sounds like Wonder Boys times Patricia Highsmith. Yes, please. Samantha Downing, who's coming on the show in 2 weeks, said a dark, twisty journey through the labyrinth of academia. This book has everything: a missing girl, a murder, a book within a book, and so much more. One of David's most unique and engrossing novels. Let's talk about that, David. So the labyrinth of academia. Is academia a labyrinth?
Yeah, well, actually, a labyrinth makes it sound kind of magical and fun, right? Like it's, academia is a strange place that I don't think people who haven't worked there don't fully understand it, because like a lot of workplaces, it has its own weird terminology and its own weird rules, and like tenure and all that stuff is very strange. So yeah, but there's a in the book, as it relates to the book, there's an unusual pressure in academia because of the tenure thing, right? And the getting published in order to get tenure. And that's the dilemma Connor's facing in the book. And maybe people don't fully understand this, but if you don't get tenure, it's not just you don't get tenure and so you have to wait another year or whatever. If you don't get tenure, you get fired. You're gone. you're out, right? And so that's why I think there's so much weird pressure on people to publish. And that's why Connor feels this bizarre pressure to publish and steals his student's manuscript, because it's something that maybe not every job has quite that same aspect to it.
Yeah, I'm not in academia. I've never worked in academia, but my friends who do say it's publish or perish. I don't even know what that means, but perishing sounds bad and terrifying. So
Yes.
Connor's trying to keep his job, stay alive, publish, and teach. And it seems sort of counterintuitive, right? Because how can you really be taking care of your students if you're also and nourishing young minds and helping them grow if you're also like, sorry, kid, got to get back to the typewriter and pound out another chapter? I mean, it's kind of a weird dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, I think that professors are supposed to be experts in their field, and you prove your expertise by publishing and going to conferences and things like that. But yeah, it is kind of a strange thing, because in some ways your attention is divided. At least when you're striving to make tenure, your attention can be divided between the teaching part of it and the writing and the publishing part of it. I mean, at this point, I just show up to class and I say, hey, you kids talk amongst yourselves. Daddy's got to write another chapter, so leave me alone. Yeah,
and talk quietly, because you don't want to distract Daddy either.
Right. That's why I'm their favorite professor, though.
David's reviews just keep going up and up on rateaprofessor.com. I don't even know if that's a thing, but it should be. Welcome, Ron. Welcome, Cindy. Welcome, Eloise. Welcome, Mary. Welcome, Kathy. Great to have you all. Let me know what questions you got for David. Drop them in the comments. He's waiting, and he promises to hold nothing back. David, as a professor and as a thriller author who, as Samantha Downing says, a dark, twisty journey. The book has everything. What do you think the hallmarks of great writing are, besides writing characters that people want to love?
I think that the best books make readers uncomfortable to some extent. And I don't mean that they make them uncomfortable with blood and gore. Now that can be part of it. But I'm saying that I think the best books just get under our skin a little bit and just make us feel a little uncomfortable, a little uncertain in the world. They show us things that maybe we don't think about in everyday life, or we don't like to think about in everyday life. And I think that's maybe the hallmark of a really good book, is that in some way it provokes us a little bit. It puts us on edge a little bit. It makes us think about the world in a way that we haven't thought about it before. To me, those are the things that I think about with a really good book. And then a really good book is also a book that we can't really stop thinking about after we've put it down. So like it's another week later, a couple weeks later, and it's still running in our heads, and we're thinking just a little bit, gee, what are those people up to now? What happened to them after the book ended? Or gee, that was strange that I had that experience of reading that book. I think those are the things that make for a really compelling book.
Excellent. Sharon would like to know, do your students ask for your autograph?
Yes, they do when they want to drop my class. They come in and they say, I need you to sign this form so that I can drop your class, and then I sign my name. No, I say about my students that, so the university where I teach is a really big university. And so there's, there are students who are all different walks of life, all different places. And so I think some of them come into my class and they have no idea that I have written books or published books. They're just kind of there, and they're just like, who's this dude at the front of the room, whatever. Some of them have read the books and know about it, but I say that it doesn't count if a student compliments one of my books when they're taking my class and I can give them a grade. It doesn't count, because they might just be sucking up to try to get a good grade. And it works. If you say something nice about my book, automatic A. But it really doesn't count until like 5 years later.
See, I was about to say, attention all Bowling Green University students, paging all Bowling Green University students. You heard it here first. Give David a big fat A for his book on Amazon, and he'll give you a big fat A for your class. It's a reciprocal situation.
This is the real world, kids. It's a quid pro quo world. So,
Exactly.
I'm trying to teach them life lessons here.
You're getting thumbs up from the audience. So this is clearly resonating. Welcome, Anne. Welcome, Benjamin. Welcome, Shelley. Great to have you. David, let me ask you this. You said before that, thanks, Sharon. Thank you for the great question. You said before that a great book, hallmarks of great writing, provoke you, make you uncomfortable. What are you trying to provoke us with this book? What are you trying to make us uncomfortable about?
Well, I mean, the book is obviously there's the authorship and the plagiarism question, and that whole question of just who owns a story and how do we come to write a story, and what's it like when you're a professor and you encounter someone who has more talent, seemingly has more talent than you have, and there's not that much you can do to help them or teach them. So there are all those questions. The other big question in the book is about sexual harassment on college campuses. And what is it like when you have one group of people in a place, the professors, who have a great deal of power over the students, and what is it like when that dynamic is abused? And so that's an issue that comes up in the book. I know that we had the Me Too movement a few years ago, and we went a long way toward, we hope, becoming more enlightened and becoming more aware of this issue. But I mean, really, as recent news events in, say, Albany, New York have shown us, this still happens. You know, we still see people who are, and let's face it, it's men. We see men in powerful positions who abuse that power. And so the book gets into that. And so it's not a pleasant topic, but I do hope that the book sheds light on that topic in terms of how it happens in academia, while also doing all the things that we want a thriller to do, the entertaining and the turning the pages late into the night.
Yes, exactly. For 1 second there, I was thinking, what university is in Albany? Before I realized, duh, you're referring to Cuomo.
The governor's mansion. The governor's mansion, yes. In
the governor's mansion, yes. Why is it, one might wonder, if I am one, why do men keep doing this? What are you doing? Why are you doing that?
So basically, you're asking me to speak for all jerky, obnoxious men on the earth. I don't know. I just think it's like there's a lot of thrillers and a lot of crime novels get into that idea of just the abuse of power and the abuse of privilege, and people trying to take advantage of people who are more vulnerable than they are, right? So it's not just sexual harassment. We see that all the time in mystery novels and crime novels and thrillers. I mean, if you want me to go, and be just completely cynical and dark, but I mean, like, there's something about human nature that some people prey on other people when they have an advantage over other people. And that's just kind of a part of the human condition that we have to deal with. And so books can shed light on that, and I hope be a way along the way toward diminishing that behavior, right? I hope.
Mystery and Suspense magazine called you masterful. Masterful, Professor Bell, saying combining a well-paced thriller with hints of the writing process and the seedy underbelly of sexual harassment on college campuses, just what we're talking about right now. When you get that kind of review and other rave reviews, because this is not your first time to the rodeo, to the thriller and mystery rodeo, do you feel the pressure of trying to be masterful again in your next manuscript? Do you feel the need to outdo yourself? Do you feel the crushing pressure, or does it feel energizing and invigorating? Walk us through that.
I mean, it's certainly energizing and invigorating when somebody says something nice about me. It's always good to get nice reviews. And you mentioned the comments from like Samantha Downing and Liv Constantine. It's very nice to have people who are that accomplished say nice things about my writing. So yeah, of course, that's energizing and humbling and everything. Yeah, I mean, to some extent, I mean, I think the bigger pressure that writers probably face as they go along in their career is that we've used up a certain number of ideas. We can't repeat ourselves, but readers are expecting certain things from certain writers. We become known for doing something, and so we have to do the same thing but different. And so I think there's pressure there. But I think people who take writing seriously and take the craft seriously always want to be better. We always want to say the best book I've written is the last book I've written. Whether that happens, I mean, who knows? Ultimately, that's decided by the readers. But I think we're all probably pushing ourselves to do more, to do better, to try something different, to try some variation on what we've done before. So I think we're all trying to do that.
Great question coming in from Christina Powers, bookstagrammer and reviewer. She would like to know, have you read the book, The Plot? Your book reminded me of the same elements, but definitely more academia present in your book. Jean Hamp Corliss, of course, was on the show in December for The Undoing. And she was, so let's start there. Christina, likening you to The Plot. Other reviews also. Christina, great analogy, very high praise, wonderful. David, let's talk about The Plot, and then let's get to the second part of the question after that.
Yeah, so I've seen all the comparisons to The Plot, and I have not read The Plot yet. But there's some people have, I probably can't talk about it publicly, but there's an event I'm supposed to do in the fall, assuming that we're not all dead of the Delta variant. I kid, we're not all going to be dead. But there's a possibility of like doing an event with the author of The Plot. So that may happen at some point. And I think it is really interesting when writers come up with a similar idea, and it gets into the question of why do there sometimes seem to be these clusters of ideas? Like there's some, I just saw something, and I think it was Crime Reads, but I'm not sure, about dark academia and how there seems to be like some stuff coming out about academia. There've been some things about like Claire McIntosh did Hostage and TJ Newman did Falling, which are like airplane things. So it's just interesting when writers come up with similar ideas, similar settings, and why is it that these things are happening at the same time? I don't know, but yeah, it is always interesting when that happens.
Yeah, exactly. And I was talking recently with an intellectual property lawyer who was saying there's a legalese name for it, which of course I'm now blanking on, but he was basically saying there can be a person sitting in Afghanistan, there can be a person sitting in Tokyo, and there can be a person sitting in Toronto, Canada, and on the same day, they can all independently come up with the same idea, and it's who can get, that idea to the IP, desk first, because people are, cogitating, people are thinking and brainstorming and coming up with ideas. You obviously live in the world of academia, so you're writing about that world, it makes sense.
And there are only so many reasons why people want to kill other people, right? I mean, like there's a limited number of reasons why we want to kill people or steal from people. And so, we're going to tread over some of the same ground. Like we were saying earlier, I think the thing that is going to make a book stand out are going to be the characters, are going to be what a writer is able to get the reader to feel or experience as they read the book. And that's going to be the difference maker.
Christina is saying she's heard the same thing regarding dark academia. Makes so much sense. Let's get to the second part of her question. Who do you enjoy reading, Professor?
Yeah, see, so this is always a tough question because so many of my friends are thriller writers that if I mention one and I don't mention the other, then that person I don't mention will never speak to me again.
Well, I think this is where the rubber hits the road, David.
Yeah. So, yeah, but no. So really, I do think, and I'll say this sincerely, I think we're like in the golden age of the mystery and the thriller and the suspense novel, because there are so many coming out. On the day that Kill All Your Darlings came out, there were so many that came out that we just can't even keep up with all of them. But since you're forcing me, Sara and Christina, to actually go on record here on live, I have to actually say something. So I'll mention a few, but you mentioned Samantha Downing, who I think is great. For Your Own Good is great. We're at the same publisher. But anyway, I think she's one of the best. There's a book coming out next week. Maybe you will have the author on, or maybe you have, Chasing the Boogeyman by Richard Chismar. Are you going to have him on? Have you had him on? If you have him on, I should get 10% for brokering the deal.
And then David, and then he can give you that $5 after the show.
Yes. But if people haven't read that book yet, it's coming out next week. It's a great book. So read that.
Christina's cracking up, she says.
That's a very good one. That's a really good one. The Next Wife by Kara Ruda, I thought was really good. The People We Keep by Allison Larkin was really good. Just keep reading them all. Lots of great writers out there.
We had Kara Ruda on. That was fantastic. And one of your other rave reviews coming from Hank Philippi Ryan, she said, I'm just going to pop this up a second because we can barely see. She said, only the diabolical mind of the talented storyteller David Bell could concoct this mind-bendingly twisty thriller he manages to brilliantly weaponize. I love the use of that word. College, students, teachers, tenure, and even the writing of novels. Smart, audacious, and completely original. Hank, of course, coming on the show September 20th. So
and I didn't mention Hank, and she's brilliant too, and that's another one of the best writers going. You could tell because she could use weaponize that way. You could tell what a good writer she is. But yeah, Hank is one of those people who not only is she a great writer, but she's an incredible friend and supporter of other writers. So yes, she is.
She really is. It's going to be so great to have her on the show. Welcome, David E. Welcome, Evelyn. Welcome, Nicole. Great to have you. Christina is saying, thank you, Christina. Of course, always a pleasure to have you. Top community member there. David, let's talk about Hank's rave review there. Your diabolical mind, sir. How diabolical are we talking in there?
Well, see, I have a theory about people who write thrillers and suspense novels and horror novels, which is that actually they're the most normal people you will ever meet because we work it all out in the book. If I'm angry at someone, I just murder them in the book, right? If I don't like someone, I just paint an unflattering portrait of them in this book, and then it's gone. It's the people who don't write thrillers and mystery novels who have the problem. So therapeutically, I would recommend, and by the way, I'm not a licensed therapist, so don't listen to anything I say. I am a doctor, but I don't play one on TV. But I would say that really mystery writers are very average, normal, down-to-earth people most of the time. So I think they work all the craziness out in the books.
Interesting. So if we see a character, a wife, let's say, who doesn't, put her dish in the dishwasher, and then in the next David character, book, she's just viciously killed, with a head in the dishwasher, we'll know it was your wife not putting her dishes away.
Well, see, and the reality is that I do the dishes in my house because I don't like to cook. My wife, Molly, likes to cook, and I do not like to cook. So actually, that is my job around the house, is doing the dishes.
And you know what? If
let me just say, I'm really good at it. I'm really good at it. Yes.
If she kills you off, I bet she would do it by poison. I mean, on the page, not in the food.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure she's. Chris Rock always said, "You've not really been in love unless you've thought of murdering someone." So I'm sure she has thought of murdering you various times. Yes.
And that's how we know it is true love. All right, guys, we have time for one more question. We've got only 2 minutes left, so get it going in the comments. I want to invite you to hang out with David on Twitter, putting the link in the comments right here. If you prefer Instagram, I love pictures. I love photography, so I love Instagram. Hang with David over here on Insta. The link is here. I want to remind everybody, I put it there before, but I'm putting it again. Grab your copy of this book right here from Murder by the Book. Support independent bookstores. That's what we love. And
there it is. Strangely, there's a copy right there over my shoulder.
Strangely, there's a copy right there over your shoulder. Strangely,
product placement
right here on my shoulder, and there can be a copy on your shoulder once you order it right here from Murder by the Book. Darla is saying, I've really enjoyed meeting David B. Yes, very much. Great to have you on, David. Thank you so much for joining us. And Darla, I see your Stars holiday celebration. Yay, congratulations. David, thank you so much. Any parting thoughts? What do you want us to leave this book with? What do you wish I'd ask you? last words of wisdom. Give it to us.
You did not ask. I will say thank you to you for the great interview. Thank you to Murder by the Book, which is one of the great bookstores in the world, and they've always been very nice to me. So thank you. Support your independent bookstore. You did not mention how wonderfully the Cincinnati Reds are playing right now, but I just want to give a shout out to my favorite baseball team, the Cincinnati Reds, who are playing very well. And in Cincinnati sports, we have to enjoy these moments while they last because they will probably go away. So thank you. But really, thank you for having me on and all the comments and questions. Thanks so much.
Oh, yay. Well, I mean, you're talking to Houston Astros fans. I'm here in Boston. I got the Red Sox.
Wow.
So, David, this is a controversial statement you just made.
And you managed not to bang on a trash can one time during the interview. Oh, I had to work on the Astro Slam. Yes.
Well, I'm only doing it because, I banged on the trash can before.
Okay.
But, no. I want to remind everyone to continue the conversation about this book and all of our favorite mysteries and thrillers. Join my Facebook. It's free. Mystery and Thriller Mavens. It's very mysterious. David Bell, thank you so much for coming on. And please come back and chat with us next time. Everybody stay tuned. I've got Isabella Maldonado coming up at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. I'll see you then. David, thank you.
Thank you.